I guess I'll start things off by apologizing in advance. I am a little phlegmy at the moment, so hopefully I'll try to keep as much of the mucus off the microphone as possible
You know,
before we start here.
it's an added texture to the sound.
Yeah, that's people's like, what Audacity filter are you using there? uh, welcome everybody back to the Raptor's Nest. Assuming this is not your first time. Today we are joined once again by the one and only Chris Pugh from Jurassic Outpost, the number one source for all Jurassic Park / world related news and events going on in the world. As well,
It's a bit of a mouthful.
basically if there's something going on that's Jurassic Park related, Jurassic Outpost is where you're going to go to learn more about it. And that's a big deal right now. It's very busy over there because, in case you didn't know, there's a new Jurassic Park movie coming out in June.
I can't believe how soon it is.
Really?
It's crept up on us.
I mean, it's not too surprising when you think about it, considering we had to wait, what was it, 14 years in between 3 and 4. So 3 years is nothing. We avoided more than a decade uh, between the third and fourth one, so that's good.
I guess to me it's just sort of unbelievable because those 14 years felt so incredibly long, and I think it was because I was growing up during them.
Definitely.
And now that I've hit that age in my 20s, so like 3 years, it's like it goes by like literally it feels like it was yesterday. I don't feel like a different person than I was when Jurassic World came out, really. But like the reality of like 3 years from like Jurassic Park 3 would be 2001 to 2014. Not 2014, 2004. It just that felt like such a profound leap in time, and that those years dragged. Now looking back, and I'm like, oh, it was only 14 years between the movies. Oh, that's nothing.
Oh, yeah, and it also just because as you get older, how you perceive time is differently, which isn't too surprising to think about it. You know, when you're 4 years old, 2 years is half a lifetime.
Yeah.
Whereas now 3 years, it's like nothing. Especially not when you have so many other things to keep track of. Life and
life comes at you fast and it keeps you busy, whether or not you want it to or not.
It most certainly does. So on that depressing note, the first trailer for Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom dropped early in December, and the general reception was a nice word for it would be lukewarm.
Yeah, mixed, I would say.
Yeah, it definitely, and I think the biggest problem, it's sort of like the TLDR version, if those are the right letters in the right order, is that it basically showcased all the stuff people didn't like about Jurassic World.
Or, in another way to put it, if you like Jurassic World more than Jurassic Park, this trailer was made for you.
Yes. Also, seek help, please. But no, yeah, definitely. I mean, it starts off with Owen and Claire, who have broken up and now, I guess, are going to have to get back together.
And, I mean, I'm hoping the romance sort of felt like a little forced in Jurassic World. If they're kind of forcing them apart in this movie, let's hope that like that beginning scene is like, oh, here's the banter that you know and love from, or don't love from their character drama, and then like I hope they just become like healthy, mature adults that are friends, and like they can drop the romance subplot, and we can just see Owen and Claire doing what they do best, and really see them grow as individual characters rather than as a couple.
Right, absolutely. I totally agree. Just for a little self congratulatory gratuitous self promotion here. The gigantic Jurassic World fan rewrite that I did last year. That was their character arc. The character arc was here are two people who have drastically different viewpoints, two drastically different ways of approaching things, do not like each other, but through the events of Jurassic World and this breakdown of the park and chaos and everything, they come to understand each other more and kind of respect each other a little bit more. And it's not about romance. They don't get together. It's about, okay, I can relate. I can at least see where you're coming from now, even if I don't
Yeah.
agree with it. You know.
And I could really see that blossoming into like a respectful friendship, and like people that would work together. To be honest with you, like I can see in a realistic sense their character arcs. I could see them working together again in the future and respecting one another after Jurassic World for sure.
Yeah,
Um,
almost kind of like Alan Grant and Ian Malcolm.
yeah, exactly. I mean, we haven't seen them interact with one another since the first film, which is sort of insane. But
Yeah,
you definitely get a sense of like how the characters like really maturely handle, like they just acted like adults, I guess, is really what it came down to. Is in
yeah.
Jurassic Park you had adults acting like adults,
Hmm.
and in Jurassic World I sort of feel like it feels like high school romance.
Yeah.
um it's just a sort of awkward, immature, blossoming selfishness that sort of comes with insecurity at that age, more particularly. It just sort of like felt like the nuance of their relationship, and I can see that for like early 20 characters and so, but like
Yeah.
neither one, it did not fit either one of their character profiles at all. It's not the worst thing in the world. I watch movies like that and I enjoy movies like that. It just didn't work for me in Jurassic World.
Yeah, no, and I wonder how much of that has to do with the fact that I'm fairly certain that Colin Trevorrow and Derek Connolly must have. Let me put it this way: I'm willing to bet that both Michael Crichton and Steven Spielberg were older when they were going over the scripts and the stories for Jurassic Park, the novel and the movie, than Trevorrow and Connolly were for the script for Jurassic World.
Yeah, and I do wonder if it also has something to do with the type of scene and the type of I don't know. They might be writing this generation's kind of nuance of romance, which is not very nuanced. It's very like surface level.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I loved Safety Not Guaranteed, so this isn't like a dig at them. I think that they can do some really great work together. But I don't know. I've honestly beaten this dead horse far too many times.
Right, right. But, we have to beat it again because it's the first thing the trailer shows
I know,
us.
and I think that's the weirdest thing. Is like, oh yeah, it's like they expected that to be a hook for, I guess, the
Yeah.
majority of audiences,
Yeah,
and
either that or the Black Mirror music.
I don't mind that actually. I thought that was kind of interesting. I wish that the content that it was set to and like the tone of the trailer was different,
Yeah.
but I feel like opening on that music, I thought that was creative. That was kind of cool. It was different. It's not what I would have went with, but
Here's the problem. I actually didn't watch Black Mirror until after the trailer came out. So I actually was also very impressed. I'm like, oh, it's an interesting choice, uh, music for a trailer for a movie like this. That's kind of interesting and unusual. But then when I went to see, then I go watch Black Mirror, and there's a fucking episode where Bryce Dallas Howard is in it, and I'm like, oh God. So that's where it came from.
you know what's funny is it might have been like a subliminal coincidence. Like, to be quite honest, like the marketing people that chose that song, they might have not been like directly like, oh, let's reference Black Mirror. Like, but it does sort of feel, it sort of feels like the two might not be entirely not entirely unrelated, even if it is accidental.
Yeah, I don't. Again, you never know. Stranger coincidences have happened in the history of the universe, but it does make you wonder a little bit. Um,
But again, I thought the music was interesting. I thought that music was pretty good for the trailer. It's the rest of the music where it's sort of like, or the lack thereof.
yeah. Um, One thing you once tweeted about a long time ago, not too long ago, but in internet years long ago, that I think really resonates and is really true is that one of the reasons that Star Wars has such great trailers is because they use
Their
Star
music.
Wars music. Yeah. Um, and it's not that they don't use Jurassic Park music
Well,
for at least not this one. They didn't use it in the first movie's trailers, first Jurassic World movie, I should say.
they used the little piano theme, the little
Right,
piano
right,
motif.
right.
To be fair, I did not like the first Jurassic World's trailers either. Like, the music completely took me out of it. You know how, like, when you're like really into something and then it's almost like a record scratch, and like you just like the cold washes over you, and you're completely taken out of it. That's exactly what the Jurassic World trailers were for me when it started playing orchestral music, which was clearly not even close to like Jurassic Park music. I was like, wait, why are they using this temp track? I'm like, where's the Jurassic Park music? At least with like the song in Fallen Kingdom, like it's a very clear, distinct change away from that style. So it's like
Yeah.
you're not like, why doesn't this sound like Jurassic Park? You're like, oh, this is different. This is cool. I don't know. I that's on a personal level, just the way that things individually emote with me. And
Oh no, I absolutely agree. The music for Jurassic World's trailers, no, I didn't like that. So I definitely appreciate that they're actually putting the theme in this one. I'm just not sure how it's going to work in the movie. But that's par for the course with trailers.
yeah,
You never know how it's going to work in the movie.
that is the truth.
Um, so one thing I want to do with this discussion is really talk about how can Jurassic World win back the audience, because it really put a lot of people off. So I always like to look on the positive side, despite being a critical asshole. I do like to see what positivity we can squeeze out of things. So, especially since we have another trailer coming up in
Very soon.
yeah, in less than 2 weeks from this recording. And I will definitely try to have this up before then, so that this isn't too dated. But yeah, considering that we are on the verge of another series of footage being released, what does this new trailer need to do to allay the fears that were caused by the first trailer?
Yeah, I mean, it's totally doable. I mean, like, don't get me wrong. People aren't going to forget about that first trailer. They're not going to. Their first impression of the movie was not necessarily positive, and it's not just like the super fans with very specific expectations that had a sort of negative reaction. Like, it was general movie press and general movie audience. Like, I should say, when I say general movie audience, I should say like the general fans of Jurassic Park, but that are also more invested in movies than just like somebody who doesn't necessarily talk about it very often, like just the person that goes and sees movies.
Yeah, a casual fan.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. A casual fan who's still like a fan of cinema and follows movie news. Yeah, the reaction was mostly lukewarm to negative. Overall, I'd say the reaction was very mixed because there were the sort of super casuals that were like, yeah, whatever, new dinosaur movie, cool, I'll see it. But that's not to pretend. That's not to say that quality doesn't matter for them. Um, quality is what keeps people coming back. Like you might get people in seats, but it's the quality of the movie. It still does resound. Like people might be less critical, but they're still going to tell their friends, "Yeah, I like that movie. Go see it." Or they're like, "Yeah, it's okay."
Yep. Yeah, as much as marketing really targets that opening weekend, word of mouth is still the most powerful decider in what happens after that first
Look at
weekend.
Jumanji.
Yeah, really.
Look at Jumanji, man. That is the perfect example of I don't think the marketing was that great. But people wanted to give it a chance, and what really helped is word of mouth. Like people going to see the movie, like, guess what? That movie was not horrible.
Yeah, really.
Go see it. It was funny. And it just kind of kept spreading. And then you started hearing like, wow, Jumanji's like on top of the box office for the fourth weekend in a row.
Yeah.
Like it just word of mouth really helps.
It really can. But you're never going to get word of mouth unless you actually make a quality product.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's what I kind of love about the vindication of, successive weekends. That's kind of where, really, no opening weekend is really not the great test. It's the second weekend.
Yeah, seeing how its legs hold up.
Yeah.
But, it's interesting. Jurassic World really did have good legs.
It sure did. Oh my God. I was seeing Jurassic. I don't know if I told you this. I saw it 16 times in theaters.
Damn.
Despite
I
being
saw it a lot. Though.
Yeah. I love how people will say, like, why do you hate Jurassic World? Why do you hate Jurassic World? I don't hate Jurassic World. I saw it goddamn 16 times in theaters. I'm just critical of it is all. But no, I was still seeing it in theaters by the time it had gone on to at least digital release.
Yeah, I did see it in theaters after it was available on digital because it had such long legs. It stayed in theaters for so long. It was kind of incredible.
Yeah. And again, I don't know why, but it might just be a matter of people having low expectations that Jurassic World exceeded because they were low.
There's so many different takes on why people saw Jurassic World, why it did as well as it did. And people are like, "Oh, nostalgia! It's only nostalgia. It's only this." I think the reality is people do want Jurassic Park movies. They do want it to be a franchise. Jurassic World did hit a lot of the right markers. It's the finer level of the execution that I think is where we're critiquing it a lot more. But
Yeah.
overall, the general idea behind Jurassic World, hybrids I'm mixed on, but the general idea that sort of like the over resounding plot of it, it's solid.
Oh
And I
yeah,
think
no,
I think people really
definitely.
responded to it.
No, it's like I said before in our last discussion. I think it has the absolute perfect premise for doing a Jurassic Park movie in 2015. Especially since you basically have to resuscitate the franchise, the entire
Yes.
franchise. It's kind of here's what I like to compare it to. A lot of people criticized Force Awakens for being very, very similar to A New Hope, and they are 100% correct. It is very, very
It
similar
is, yes.
to A New Hope, but Star Wars was a franchise that had largely forgotten what it was for some strange
I
reason, or rather,
exactly.
for three strange reasons, I should say. Um, so it had to go back to its roots. It had to remember what it was. And it's only because Force Awakens was so samey to A New Hope that we were allowed to have something like The Last Jedi, which
Ex-
is so different in a lot of ways.
Exactly, but you know what I would say is each of those movies embrace the unique identity that the original trilogy carved for Star Wars films, in terms of tone and delivery. And I would say that's the one thing where the Jurassic World trilogy really seems to be struggling is they are really not embracing Jurassic Park's tone. They're not necessarily, I guess, embracing that blueprint, that skeletal structure that made Jurassic Park so special, and made it so timeless. It's like they're following the blueprint, but they're using different ingredients. Or maybe they're using the same ingredients but not following the blueprint. I'm not sure which one would be a better analogy. Either way, there's a certain sense of yes, we want new story. And I like the idea of pushing the story to new boundaries. I'm just talking about the overall tone, the style of content delivery, and the nuances, the subtlety, and the little elements, the little threads that really hold the story together. And I think that's where it's sort of lacking. And in dinosaur designs, the dinosaur designs are kind of lacking.
Yes, absolutely agree on all
like
all
like
fronts.
actually, no matter who you speak with, like people are like, I don't care, but they're like, if I'm being honest with you, I think the new dinosaur designs kind of suck compared to Jurassic Park. But like,
Yeah.
I mean, yes, there are people who like them. I'm not going to try to pretend like there aren't or anything along those lines, but generally speaking, people are like, yeah, these new dinosaur designs, they're not doing them for me. And,
Yeah, that's definitely the case.
but story is what matters the most.
Yep. Yeah, no, just to build on that, I think Jurassic World tried to do what Force Awakens did. It tried to go back to its roots to remember what it was. I just don't think it quite remembered the right way.
Y-
At least for some things.
And honestly, I wonder if that is a sort of a case of interpretation. I mean, most people see things in a similar way. I mean, they have different parts that stand out to them. But, I'm wondering if part of it is like Colin Trevorrow just interprets the tone different. Maybe those really subtle jokes in Jurassic Park, maybe he thinks that maybe they're really obvious to him, and maybe he really feels like they're called out and like hilarious rather than just like almost like blink and you miss them. Um,
That could be it. And there's also another thing that might have influenced it, and I'm really hoping it didn't. I'd be really sad if it did influence their writing of it. But I remember in 2013 when Jurassic Park was re-released in theaters in 3D for the 20th anniversary. I was my head like blew up. I turned my entire Facebook feed into like a Jurassic Park celebration. I posted like fan art, covers of the theme music, and like interviews from the past with the actors and filmmakers and such. It was total celebration of everything Jurassic Park. I was so excited, and I went to go see the movie with my best friend. It was just us and two other people in the theater, and the two other people in the theater I wanted to murder because they were making jokes throughout the entire movie, kind of like all they were basically just doing all the dumb Jurassic Park memes.
Okay.
So like, so I wonder again how much of that influence were Trevorrow and Connolly afraid that if they stuck to that blueprint, would they get the same results? Would they be seen as dated? Would they be seen as like a meme target?
I don't, honestly, I don't think so. I think that they just made the type of movie they like to make, honestly, rather than using the strengths of the movie that they like to make, but make it a Jurassic Park movie. Yeah, I don't know. I just felt like Jurassic World lacks any semblance of subtlety.
That's very true.
Um,
Um,
and that's what I love about Jurassic Park is the subtlety of it. And the only issue is to make a movie like Jurassic Park, you have to do it damn well, or else it's not going to hold up as well. So throwing more obvious jokes and humor and jabs into the movie can make the experience a little bit more fun and maybe not you don't need as fine tooth of comb to fine tune the movie.
yeah, no, absolutely. I have often, part of me always wonders, like, what would Jurassic Park be like? Because here's the thing, Jurassic Park, the story is a very B movie story. At least the setup, the premise. And I think in the hands of another director, it would have been just another B movie.
It would have been a monster movie. It
Yeah,
would have been.
even with the special effects, even with the groundbreaking revolutionary CG and all that, I think it ultimately might have like wound up in the same spots in our memory as say Jumanji, which
Yeah.
came out just 2 years later. Um, I think no, it's Jurassic Park is it holds up not just because the special effects are great and they are great, but because there's more to it than that. And I just don't think there's that much more to Jurassic World, which is sad because when you look at Jurassic World and its setup and its premise and its story, there is so much you could squeeze out of it in terms of like, undertones and, nuance and subtlety.
Yeah, all the concepts on display are fantastic, to be honest with you. Um, it's just the execution again, the finer layer, the little layer of detail. That's where it's a little bit that's where it's a little weird, I guess, is where it just kind of falls apart is on just the finer details, the execution.
Yeah. But anyway, back to Fallen Kingdom.
Yes. Although I feel like that's all kind of important to the discussion we're about to have.
Oh, no, no, definitely. Definitely, because even though J.A. Bayona has taken over the director's chair, this is still definitely going to have Trevorrow's fingerprints on it.
Yeah, I think the trailer definitely showed us that.
Yeah.
There was a lot of talk like, oh, they're going back to the roots of Jurassic Park, and this is J.A. Bayona's movie. They wrote this movie for J.A. Bayona, and we're really going back to Jurassic Park, and it's really going to be Jurassic Park 5, and you're like, damn, this sounds good. Like, it's going to be serious, it's going to be tense. You're like, okay, I'm in. And then you get this trailer, and it's literally, I mean, it really...
You love a dummy.
It's really Jurassic World 2. I mean,
Yeah.
like it's not Jurassic Park 5. At least that trailer isn't. Maybe they highlighted like some of the more Jurassic Worldy elements.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Which let's to be fair, from a marketing standpoint, because remember, different people make the trailers than who make the movies. From a marketing standpoint, there is a certain logic in highlighting the Jurassic Worldness of it because Jurassic World made money.
To be fair though, did the trailers of Jurassic World ever really show off its Jurassic Worldiness?
No.
So I think that they might be overemphasizing maybe the amount that people really liked some of those elements.
No, definitely, definitely. I'm going this from the perspective of somebody on the marketing team, being like, well, they like Jurassic World, so let's just show them Jurassic World.
Sometimes I wonder though, do you think like the marketing teams, sometimes I wonder, do they know that like a lot of the fan base is like, I didn't think Jurassic World was good. I'm still on board and I enjoy it for what it is, but I wonder if they realize like a lot of people are like, hey, it's not what it used to be. And I really hope Jurassic, Fallen Kingdom really ups the ante a little bit, but I just wonder
I
how
don't
tuned
think
in they are with that stuff. Like if
I
or they'd
I,
be like,
honest,
what?
I honestly don't think they are because I'm guessing a lot of the same people are making a lot of these trailers for different movies, which may be why some of them feel like they're all making the same mistakes. Um, so it may be a matter of it's too much for them to try to listen to what fans want because they have to listen to fans from many different franchises, and of course, even then within the franchises, fans have different opinions. I mean, this trailer has some diehard defenders
Yeah.
within the Jurassic Park fan community.
Yeah, more so than Jurassic World. I don't know what exactly happened this time around, but things got a little ugly for a bit.
Yeah, no, they really did.
It was weird. I've never seen that happen before. Like everyone's usually like, I don't know, really like open for discussion and like really kind of open minded. Um, I guess creatively critiquing things. And this time around, it's just been like, oh, everyone's so picky, or like people are, I don't know, the whole it just everyone's throwing a fucking temper tantrum online. Oops, you might have to bleep that. I'm sorry.
Oh no, no, trust me. This is a pro swearing podcast.
Okay. Um, yeah. The whole thing was it was just it's got weird. It got really weird. I was just like kind of looking at it like I kind of want to close my Twitter and just be done with it for a little bit. Like it got that weird.
Yeah.
Like
I know I can tell for a fact that at least some of the people I was getting into arguments with were definitely very young.
you know
Um,
what? I've thought that before, and then I found out like they're a lot older than I realized. I'm like, what?
oh God, that's even worse. Um, but either way, even if they're numerically old, they might be young in terms of like getting into a fan community or getting into fan discussions. They might not know etiquette or something. Um, and you know, because Jurassic World was so successful, and again, like I said, resuscitated the franchise. The franchise was in a coma for 14 years. Jurassic World definitely would have drawn in a lot of fans, a lot of new fans. Um, and maybe, and that's the thing is that when a fan base grows, an inevitable thing that happens is that number of that small minority of vocal cranks increases, not by much, but just enough to the point where you can hear their crankiness.
Yeah, that's definitely true. It's just it got weird. It just the whole thing got strange for a little bit there. Even people that are usually like really like you can have really good banter with and really good conversations and just also people that know not to take things exactly. It's I mean for like Twitter, tweets are limited in the amount that you can say in them. So oftentimes something might sound very I don't know. It kind of forces them into a short format. And I got so sick of tired of hearing like, well, that's just your opinion. And I'm like, no shit, it's my opinion. I'm putting it as a tweet from my own voice. Of course it's an opinion. I like, and it got to the point where I started adding in my opinion in every tweet. And I'm like, this looks ridiculous. Like, I'm not stating it. I don't know. It got weird. It got weird.
Yeah.
This trailer brought out weirdness, and I
Oh
think
yeah.
that's how you knew it was very divisive. And I think that this kind of set people off because it just brought it kind of like shook the foundation a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. But let's move on to the positive parts here, which is what can this new Super Bowl trailer do to win the fans over, to win everybody over, really? Because you actually wrote a piece on this on Jurassic Outpost, which I'll put a link in the description to, that I think made some excellent points. And if you just want to maybe just give a brief summary of some of those points, that might be a good starting point.
Okay, yeah, when I set out to write that piece, I wasn't setting out to make a critique of the trailer. Like I didn't try to like break like I wasn't setting out to do a review of the trailer, I should say. As in like there were other things that like there were things that bothered me in the trailer. I wasn't going to be like and I didn't like the music and and it was like, "Oh, I wasn't trying to restructure the trailer. I wasn't trying to maybe write a piece where I said this is what the trailer did wrong and this is exactly how I think they should redo that trailer." No, it was more of a piece where I was sort of isolating the elements that put myself and many others off from the trailer. And not necessarily from a super fan's perspective, but just from like even a marketing perspective and a broader picture, and just kind of showing how the next trailer can sort of realign things. So I think one of the bigger issues I had with the trailer um was for about a year, I touched on this before. About a year, we've just been hearing from Colin Trevorrow and J.A. Bayona about how much Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom was actually going to be like Jurassic Park. And it was going to be serious, and it was going to be tense, and it was going to be scary, and it really was embracing the structure of Jurassic Park. And it was going to be more mature, and it was going to deal with heavier themes, and it was going to dig deeper into the story, and it was going to be new territory. It wasn't just going to be people chased around by dinosaurs on an island. And the resounding thing, though, that kept coming back is everything you loved about Jurassic Park, that's coming back. That's coming back. And then the trailer came out, and it was just it was all people being chased by dinosaurs on the same island again. And it was very Jurassic World. It just looked like a generic Hollywood blockbuster. Once again, much like Jurassic World, it looked like a monster movie. And it really seemed to be. Oh, and the other thing they kept saying is, the next Jurassic World movie, we're confident in the story, so we're not going to up the scale of the action. It's actually going to focus on the story. And my God, look at the size of those action pieces. And I'm just thinking, like, guys, did you read your own script, or like, did something change at the last minute? Like, this whole thing is weird. It just wasn't a good trailer to begin with, and I think that it took some really great concepts and made them look kind of bad, and that is probably the fault of the trailer, because I think the idea of a volcano is really cool.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. Part of the reason this movie is, this concept is winning me over is going to be like, okay, well, we are going back to the island one more time, but it's the last time. We can never go back to the island after this.
Yeah,
That's
until we
right.
decide. It's like, and then meanwhile, Jurassic World 3 will be like back to another island.
Back to Site B.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no. I do kind of like that idea of like burning a bridge that you kept going back to in sequels and just saying, okay, we're not doing that again. So I really hope that's kind of what this signifies. We'll
Yes.
see. But no, in terms of your larger point of they were promising us A and the trailer gave us B.
It was such a tonal divide of what they said the movie's about and then what they showed us the movie's about, that it was just sort of like I said in the article, it's like jumping in water and finding out it was ice cold. It was just like, whoa, man.
Yeah.
That's not what I was told.
Yeah. Now
so-
there is one possibility. It's a bad possibility. It's not a likely possibility. I'm hoping to goodness gracious that this is, just not the case. But one possibility we have to kind of acknowledge is that it could just be that the ideas expressed in the interviews, while great ideas, aren't really executed in the final movie.
And that's sort of what I feel about the grander story of that's actually very possible, because that's what I feel about the grander story of Jurassic World. It lacked the fine tuning. It lacked the grander the touch, the fine, just I don't know, the level of artistry it needed to pull off its grander ideas.
Yeah.
But sometimes I chalk that off to Universal not necessarily being confident in Jurassic Park as a franchise, not really knowing where things stand. So they tried to make a little bit more of a generic movie, and I'm like, okay, now they know people love Jurassic Park, so now we can get a Jurassic Park movie. And that's sort of like what they kept telling us. But now I'm like, do you guys know how to write a Jurassic Park movie? You know how to write some goddamn good ideas, but do you know how to write the finer level of dialogue, and do you know how to tie set piece to set piece? Do you know how to tie them together with the proper threads? That's sort of where I'm looking with a critical eye. And obviously you can't really judge that from a trailer, but there are things like, the T-Rex, and the Carnotaurus in the trailer that's so not Jurassic Park. That's so antithetical to Jurassic Park. And it's like, you're not giving me much confidence because that's stupid. It looks cool, kind of. But
I mean, isn't that how you would sum up Jurassic World in some ways? It looks cool, but it's stupid.
yeah. Yeah, but at least at the very end, like when the Indominus and the T-Rex fight, it makes sense.
It does. It makes sense. And it's also built up to.
Or the inverse of that is when the Pteranodons attack Main Street. It doesn't make sense. That is
right.
full on. That is full on monster movie territory.
Yeah. Yep. Make a beeline right for the humans.
And that is how that to me, I can see how that happened. Like they came up with this really great set piece. The dinosaurs break free and they break out of the aviary and they attack all the guests in Main Street. Great. That is an awesome idea. But you forgot to figure out why the dinosaurs do that. And that's something that you don't need to do in monster movies, but that's what set Jurassic Park apart, is it wasn't a monster movie. They gave the animals motive, and they try to give them personality to be like an animal. And instead, you literally have the attack force of pteranodons and dimorphodons. You have two
Yes.
species inexplicably acting one way and just attacking people. It doesn't even look like they're eating them. It just looks like they're killing them.
Yep.
And it just, they like flew a mile just to kill a bunch of people. It's like, what the hell's going on?
Pterosaurs just hate people.
I talked to people. I talked to quite a few people. They all thought the Indominus, when it roared at the Pteranodons, they thought it was talking to the Pteranodons. They thought it told them to go attack people. Like, that's what they thought the story was. And that is some piss poor filmmaking if you left so many people thinking that.
Yeah. I know. Well, I know a lot of people came away from that thought with from the second trailer because it's interspliced with Barry's line, "They're communicating." Yeah. Like, bad editing on your part, trailer guys.
Maybe that's what they wanted to go for. Maybe like, yeah, people will like this. I don't know. No. I guess what I'm saying is that's fine. That's actually not piss poor filmmaking, I should say, but that's piss poor Jurassic Park filmmaking. At the very least, if you really wanted to embrace what made Jurassic Park special, it's definitely not doing a great job. It's sort of like all those things that made Jurassic Park special, they're not needed. I can just do it without all the the quote of Malcolm, you stood on the shoulders of geniuses. And,
Yep. There you go. Yep.
Yeah, it's sort of what Jurassic World feels like in a lot of ways. But there are other moments where I think there's absolute brilliance on display in Jurassic World.
I will say this. I like the idea of an attack on Main Street because that is very different from what we've seen in Jurassic Park movies. I love the idea of having, and I've seen this in other monster and dinosaur movies, and I always love it. It always tickles me when you have an environment that's supposed to be safe, an environment and then it's not safe. So you have this bright shopping center where everyone's getting ice cream and they're buying toys and everyone's having a great time on vacation. You have Jimmy Buffett over there who's having his 2 margaritas, and then suddenly, it's not safe. There's, dangerous animals who are going to hurt you.
Exactly, and I think Colin Trevorrow shot the scene really well. In fact, that's how I think about most of his scenes. I think he shoots them very well. I think that he understands how to make this scene exciting. I think that he finds fun little things to do within the scene. The thing is, he doesn't build to the scene and he doesn't close off the scene. And that's sort of, it just feels very like an isolated set piece. Like, you see how it happened, but it lacks the logic. And it lacks sort of the resounding effect. Afterwards, the Pteranodons just aren't a threat in the movie anymore, and
they're gone.
Yeah,
when we get back to Main Street, there's none of them left.
It's funny because I'm almost certain in some of the concept art of when the dinosaurs are fighting, you see the Pteranodons and Dimorphodons roosting and flying away after that all happened. So like, it was supposed to be there. I don't know if it was a budgetary thing or what, but yeah, they're gone. It's just sort of like the movie deals with that set piece and then forgets about it. Like, we saw ACU tranking some of the Pteranodons.
Yep.
But we only saw one fall, I think.
There's there's only this. A lot of them fall, but mostly like in the background and on the side. There's only one major fall that like you see well, and that's when it skids to a halt and the beak almost impales the kids.
And like, you know what? Okay, it's a bit goofy, but it also sort of works. The thing is, like, we cut away. We don't see any of the Pteranodons. We don't really see what ACU is doing with them. We don't even see ACU again. It's just there's a lot of these threads that sort of like leave you going like, well, wait, that's actually more interesting than seeing like Owen and a bunch of soldiers like planning how to use the Raptors. I like the scene that came out of that. I like the scene of the Raptors confronting the Indominus and then the Raptors taking out the engine mercenaries. I like those scenes. Once again, beautifully shot. It's just sometimes it doesn't know what to do with some of its better ideas and maybe how to lead into them or wrap them up in a way that feels Jurassic Park. They feel inconsequential after they're done. I guess is sort of it doesn't that Main Street attack really did it really affect our characters?
Well, it got Owen and Claire to kiss.
Yeah, but that wasn't even in the script. That was spontaneous, and it's like, but I'm trying to figure out like maybe what that did for the movie, and I don't feel like I think that would have been a great way to motivate Owen and Claire. I don't know, but it didn't really. What ended up motivating them had nothing to do with that Main Street attack. It had to do with Lowry calling Claire and her going, "What do you mean use the Raptors?"
What do you
And
mean?
then
Oh
Owen,
yeah, that's a
son
great.
of a bitch.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Miss Exposition there.
But like that's what actually drove the plot forward. The entire Main Street attack was a very, very amazing sequence that was very inconsequential for our characters. It took out Zahra, but she was
Yeah.
never a character to begin with. Maybe if
Yeah.
she was a character, it would have felt like a little bit more impactful.
Here's
Here's
the thing I noticed about rewatching Zahra throughout the movie. They try to kind of make her a little unsympathetic so that it might be like comical in how like over the top the death is, but she actually ends up being unintentionally sympathetic because you look at her situation. She's Claire's personal assistant, and she's been assigned to babysit for these two kids that she's never met. And then when she's on, they show her a scene where she's on her phone, and they're trying to do this thing where it's like, oh, she's on her phone, she doesn't care about the kids. Well, number one, I don't care about the kids. Number two, she says that she's getting married. So like, oh, you're engaged.
Exactly.
And then
she's preoccupied. She never came off so much as a dick. Like she was never like directly mean to the kids or anything like that. And on top of that, when Pteranodons were literally killing people in front of her, she runs out there and tries to save the kids. She's like, come on, don't just stand there.
Don't just stand there.
I mean, she was being a bit of a dick, but like she also was risking her life. Like it was like once again, she did not come off as unsympathetic. It just, I don't know, the whole thing, like, I do agree, the whole thing felt a little bit cruel, but it wouldn't have felt as cruel if she was completely a sympathetic character, and in the movie embraced the horror of what happened. That would have been like what happened with Eddie.
Well, wasn't it like, wasn't there, I saw something about, there was this, shot that was taken out of the movie of guests at the underwater viewing area, and was it her leg or something?
It was It was back before it was her, though.
Right, it was a hapless park employee,
cameraman or something like that.
Yeah.
Actually, no. In like one of the original storyboards, like news crews made it when this was happening.
Oh
They're
my
flying around
God.
in the helicopter, and it was like a cameraman or something weird like that. Yeah. Yeah, they kind of had a few versions of that idea, and it was usually just a random character that it happened to, like a random, like, just like there's somebody shooting a gun and the Pteranodon swoops them up, or there's another where the Pteranodon swoops up a cameraman that, like, they just kind of, like, show the camera, but, it eventually ended up kind of becoming a character. But what's interesting is, remember, when they cast Zahra, her casting was just concierge. So she really was a throwaway character that just suddenly got thrust into being a character probably at the last minute. And then I guess they sort of couldn't decide whether or not they wanted there to be a good reason for her dying or not. And again, you don't need a good reason for a character to die in Jurassic Park. They don't need to be a villain or anything like that. It's just the movie can't really ignore it, and the movie really ignores the fact that the kids saw something horrific.
Yep.
Like the movie just ignores one of the most horrific deaths. The movie completely ignores it.
Yeah,
it
like
happens,
it
Claire and it was made to look cool, and like that's it. At least Eddie, like I don't know, man. That's where the movie falls apart in some of the filmmaking.
Yeah. I assume you're talking about Eddie, the man just saved our lives. You might show a little respect, something like that. Claire doesn't even ask, "Where's Zahra?"
I know. Yeah, like
in the belly of your largest attraction.
Yeah, and maybe like pieces of her inside of the belly of a pteranodon. I don't know. Especially when you think of mosasaurs, the way they're structurally built, like her body, she was flayed alive as she was swallowed and crushed.
If she was unlucky enough to be scraped up against those teeth on the inside roof of the mouth.
Yeah, I mean, she was crushed, suffocated, and flayed alive. Like, god damn.
And that's after being picked up by flying monsters and dropped from like 100 feet into a saltwater lagoon and being like waterboarded by pterosaurs essentially.
Yeah, the whole thing, it's horrific. It's horrific. There's nothing like that. No. It's really cool, but in the movie, it's not really enjoyable and it's not really tragic. It's just sort of like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah, really.
Really well shot, though. It lacked the finer threads. Let's go into Fallen Kingdom.
Yes, let's get. Oh God. Okay, so
how we even got there.
Oh, it's chaos theory. It's
Yeah.
you start one place and end up someplace completely different. Um, so okay, so Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom trailer. Uh, we were promised one thing. Trailer shows us something different.
It,
So for the
and it
Super
didn't
Bowl,
look that great either. It
and
was
it didn't
different.
look
It didn't look that great.
right. That too. So the solution there for this next trailer, show us a little bit more of that thing you were promising, and there's absolutely no reason for them not to show stuff from Lockwood Manor.
I mean, they've already showed it in the behind the
Yeah,
scenes, and J.A.
exactly.
Bayona and Colin Trevorrow keep talking about it.
Yep. And
So if that's supposed to be a secret, the cat's out of the bag, guys.
yeah, because
Like
they let it out of the bag.
exactly. They let it out of the bag themselves.
Yeah.
Um, and part of it might have been a gut reaction to being like, "Oh God, people don't like the trailer. We better promise them that there's something completely different on the other side of the movie."
Maybe.
That I think part of it sort of feels like a knee jerk reaction to that. Like, oh, people are not responding to this well. We better promise them there's actually something new in this movie as well. Um, but okay, what I think the Super Bowl trailer needs to do, and this is kind of difficult because Super Bowl trailers are usually a little bit more bombastic.
That's true. Yeah.
But I feel like they need to maybe tone down the explosive factor and maybe up the wow factor. And what I mean by wow factor are scenes like the Brachiosaurus in Jurassic Park,
Uh,
or the end sequence of the Lost World where all the dinosaurs are there. Bring
you
up the
know,
wow.
here's the problem though. The more I think about Jurassic World, and the more I think about the way they are treating the dinosaurs, it just feels less and less likely that we will ever get anything
The movie
quite like
they
those.
try to go for wow factor. The problem is they're treating the dinosaurs like set pieces and monsters, so it doesn't really resound.
Yeah.
And that's also kind of the more I thought about it. That's why I think how everyone's like, oh, why would they save the dinosaurs?
Oh my God,
Just
I
clone more.
fucking hate that
I
argument.
That's such a weird argument. And the only thing I can think of is I wonder if part of it's because these movies really don't do a good job of showing the dinosaurs as animals. Like
Yeah.
people are not registering the dinosaurs as animals. They're monsters. It's a monster movie to them. There's heroes and villains, and the rest of them are set pieces and monsters. I just don't think that they feel like animals anymore, and I think that it's harder to build that natural sense of empathy, or that natural idea of conservation. Um,
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that. A lot of the news articles that I have read ever since going back to the production of Jurassic World, they would always talk about like the new Jurassic Park movie will feature new kinds of prehistoric terror. And you would keep seeing phrases like that, like this new horrific monster, this horror, terror, fear, scare, words like that kept popping up, and but you'd never hear words like beauty or awe or any of those other emotions that were invoked by the dinosaurs of the first movie.
Yeah, like I think one of the interesting things is like think of a lion. The first thing that comes to my mind when I think of a lion is majestic.
Yep.
Um of course if there was a hungry lion or even a territorial lion, it's scary, but overall what makes the lion scary isn't the fact that it outright looks scary or acts scary. No, it just acts like an animal and it's beautiful and it's majestic.
Yeah.
But when it puts out its claws to attack and it shows its fangs, yeah, it can be scary as
Yeah,
hell.
I wouldn't want to be trapped in a kitchen with one.
Exactly, but it doesn't look like if you do not know if the lion was an herbivore, you wouldn't be like, damn, that thing looks scary.
Yeah.
No, I mean it's and that's sort of even like with Jurassic Park. Other than the raptors, I'd say the raptors were sort of designed to look scary, at least when their mouths were open.
Yeah.
Um, but otherwise, the dinosaurs weren't designed to look scary. They were just dinosaurs. They're animals, man.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that's why they worked so well. And I think, thankfully, I think Blue with some of the refinements, I think she's finally there in terms of design. Where she looks like a velociraptor, but she looks like an animal. She doesn't look too friendly. She doesn't look too scary. She just looks like an animal now.
Yeah.
Little subtle changes there really went a long way, in my opinion.
Yeah, as many have noted, you included, she looks thinner um, than her first appearance, and I kind of love how even you guys in the podcast mentioned this, that maybe that's because she's no longer fattening up on rats, and hey, maybe that's why they were fat in Jurassic World. They were captive, and that happens with captive animals sometimes.
It
Sometimes
does.
they get a little chunky. So
It
maybe now that she's has to fend for herself, she's trimmed down a little bit.
it could be. The other thing though is weird because some angles you look at them and then they look like normal velociraptors in Jurassic World. Then other angles they look really chunky and weird. Sometimes I just wonder if they rendered them in a weird way, like under a weird lens that sort of distorted their look. But that's a different conversation for a different day. I would love to pick the brains of like IOM on that. Um, but so for Fallen Kingdom though, like what I think that trailer needs to do is it needs to bring that back the awe and the wonder. And since we know Fallen Kingdom revolves around them going and trying to capture the dinosaurs and take them off island, how about we see like kind of brief glimpses of those types of set pieces of people chasing and capturing animals? So we see all these mercenaries and vets or whomever they have in these situations, sort of like the Lost World Roundup scene. But I imagine we're going to get a lot of like different environments and kind of brief glimpses at that. Kind of build to that while you're building the underlying narrative of there being a conspiracy. Don't exactly show us who is on what side of this conspiracy, but build that tension of realizing, oh shoot, not everybody has good intentions in this situation. And the situation also they need to build is, by the way, this situation, even those with good intentions, it might not be a good idea. And that's how the Malcolm voiceover comes in.
Right, right.
And I think as it builds up in scale, and it builds up in the idea of a threat, like not everyone's doing this for the right reason, and oh my god, what if they get off island? And I think that's sort of how it needs to end with like the volcano erupting, maybe a shot of them on the boat, and maybe some sinister looking shots of people doing some sinister things, and then I think what we need to see is we need to hear Malcolm. I'm sure there's a line like this. I'm sure as Malcolm's in a courtroom, he's going to say something along the lines of like, if these animals ever got off the island, it would be pure chaos or something, but something like that, but more grim. And I think ending on a line like that, doing a title reveal, and then like having him continue that line or something, and then showing like maybe one of those scenes from the behind the scenes feature of just Owen running through like a shot of the mansion and Owen running through it with a sniper rifle. And you're sort of going like, whoa, wait, where was that? Like, and it resounds with Malcolm's line of like, if these animals ever got off the island, who knows what it would do, or like who knows what the threats are. And then we'd see that brief glimpse of like, oh shit, this movie's going somewhere. Like
Yeah.
it's like we don't know how it gets off the island. We don't know what gets off the island. We don't know exactly what it means, but we do know that we're going to end up somewhere different. And I think that's sort of what's important.
That sounds really good. Now, one thing I did want to bring up briefly is so we have that courtroom scene where we have our wonderful Dr. Malcolm making his return to the franchise. I want to pause briefly here because there's one thing I want to maybe talk about, but I don't. This might be spoilery, so I'll edit this out if it is. But I just want to bring this up maybe because Malcolm is kind of, you know, he's posed with the question of, should do these animals deserve the same protection that we afford other animals, or should we just leave them to die? And he seems to be advocating for leaving them to die. He
I
seems to.
totally agree. I think that he is advocating to leave them to die.
He is. That's not the spoilery part. The spoilery part is we've heard a few rumors that Sam Neill might be making a cameo. And I do wonder, is he going to be the one that comes in and gives the dissenting opinion of no, they do deserve protection?
That's interesting. I don't expect to see him in the courtroom scene. That would be really big. That would be a surprise though. Like, oh, they told us Malcolm, and the reason why they told us Malcolm is guess what? Grant's there as well, and maybe even Sattler.
Hmm.
I feel like it's kind of funny though because after the Lost World, I feel like Malcolm actually sort of stood up for the animals' rights. And after Jurassic Park 3, I guess Grant sort of had a turnaround by the end of it, but I still kind of feel like Grant was more cynical than Malcolm.
Well. They're also well. Let's be honest here. Now, big franchises are not above erasing the character arcs of sequels.
Fair. Like they're never going to erase the canon, but they might erase the character arcs. That is very true.
Yeah.
They'll never erase the can't, like, they're never gonna be like, oh, Jurassic Park 3 just didn't happen. Like, no, it happened, and
Yeah.
I'm sure there's gonna be little references here
But
and there to tie it all together.
But what I'm thinking is more along the lines of they seem to have forgotten John Hammond's arc of realizing that no, you shouldn't put these things in a park.
I have a theory. And I think that Benjamin Lockwood's character might actually sort of retcon Mizrahi's line, and it'll just probably leave a question of like, well, why did Simon Mizrahi say that was his dying words? And maybe we can peg it off to the kind of confused words of an old dying man.
Oh no, yeah, no, that's kind of the way I interpret it as being like he said to Masrani, "You must protect the dinosaurs," and it went from "You must protect the dinosaurs" to "You must keep the dinosaurs safe," and it went from "You must keep the dinosaurs safe" to you must keep people from exploiting them. Have you ever heard this expression like, I'm going to protect you by killing you, so that way nobody can kill you? It's kind of like that. It's kind of like, I'll exploit these animals so that no one else can exploit these animals.
In Mizrahi's mind might have been sort of what he's doing. He wasn't setting up like a shoddy little zoo. He was setting up more of like a conservation, and he was funding it through people coming to see these animals, but also like kind of supporting their protection. Because they did seem to be mostly free range. I mean, the Indominus was in a tiny paddock, and the T-Rex was, but
and of course you also have the invisible fence system.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, maybe Hammond never meant like open a park, but Mizrahi kind of in his mind's like, hey, he said make sure these animals aren't exploited and make sure they aren't like destroyed. So I did what I felt was the way to do it. And Simon Mizrahi seems like an aloof guy. Well-meaning aloof dude. So I doubt he ever had like cynical and sort of sinister intentions of like exploiting Hammond's dying wish. He was just probably he's an oblivious dude. Seems like a fun-loving, oblivious dude who's both intelligent but also kind of aloof. But yeah, no, I mean, with Grant, I don't know, man. I feel like Grant would sort of be anti-dinosaur as well.
Oh, I mean, I can support that from like a character arc interpretation standpoint, but I really wish he wouldn't.
Actually, what X-Men movie was it? First Class, when they try to recruit Logan Wolverine, and like literally it's just a quick scene where they walk up to him in a bar and they're like, "Hi, this is this, and Logan just goes, "Fuck off," and then the scene cuts off. I could totally see something like, "Hi, we want you to testify in this court case. Fuck off," and it's just there's something about Grant's character arc that makes him seem more like the fact that his relationship fell apart with Ellie, and it just kind of seems like he sort of reminds me of somebody who, to avoid all of his real world problems and to kind of keep himself away from everything, kind of poured himself into his work. And I'm assuming that that's why his relationship with Ellie failed, is because after the events of Jurassic Park, I think that there was just a lot to deal with, and I don't think he necessarily coped with them well. And I think that he just sort of poured all of his time, energy, and being into his paleontology to sort of avoid everything. So Grant, I really don't see him personally getting involved one way or another, unless literally somebody dragged him to do it, or unless it came to him.
I mean, I guess we'll
see.
I guess we'll see. Now, do you think that's too spoilery to mention those rumors?
No, or it's just a rumor. Honestly, he was probably there on set, whether or not he was actually filming anything, or whether or not he was like filming another movie. Because I mean, we know it's pretty common for actors to swing by a local set. Like, if I'm not mistaken, Laura Dern was filming The Last Jedi at the same time, or she was doing some tail end work on The Last Jedi, and I'm pretty sure I heard that she swung by like the Fallen Kingdom set. Way back when, I remember people saying, "No, I think I saw Laura Dern on the set," and it was like, but she wasn't. They're like, I was like, "Oh my god, was she filming?" Like, no, like she swung by, said hi, and left. Like she just like literally went from one office to another, like, "Hey guys," and then like kind of ducked out of there. It's like that could be where that Grant rumor is coming from. To be honest with you, like,
it could be.
So
probably not worth getting excited over.
Hey, I would.
Yet anyway.
I would love it, and I think that we probably will see Ellie and Grant in Jurassic World 3. But I wouldn't necessarily bet on them being in this movie. Maybe hints of them, like the way that there was Malcolm's book in Jurassic World. Maybe we will see pictures of Grant or Ellie's book in Jurassic World 2.
You never know.
Or maybe we might just see them on a TV screen, not necessarily testifying at the court, but maybe like reporters will go like, "What's your opinion on this matter?" And then being like, "Yeah, I just want to stay out of it."
It's yeah, that's definitely. I once when Jurassic World's first trailer came out, I had of course, had a lot of mixed feelings about it. So one of the ways I dealt with some of my feelings was I wrote a very, very short one-off story. It's not even really a story. It's more just a short scene of Alan Grant going on to The Daily Show with Jon Stewart to promote his new book, it was titled Jurassic Lies: How Masrani Global's biggest attraction is fostering scientific illiteracy. Um,
That sounds like a book he would write, to be honest
yeah,
with you.
yeah, which just basically talks about all the differences between Jurassic World's clone dinosaurs and the real dinosaurs of the fossil record, and that sort of thing. So just kind of again, it's sort of an in-universe way to get him in there in a way that makes sense, so that you wouldn't, don't drag him to an island again.
Yeah.
Um, there's no amount of zeros you can write on a check that would convince him to do that a third time.
Yeah, we've already kidnapped him.
Yes. Oh, we're in the worst place in the world. We're not even getting paid for it.
But
So,
so yeah, I think though that I think that it all sort of falls back onto Fallen Kingdom though. I what would you want to see from the trailer? Like, I don't have any specific like. So I don't want like. Some people are like, I want to see this scene and I want to see this scene. Like, I just kind of have tonal
yeah.
ideas that I want to see.
No, no. I mean, that is pretty much. You've pretty much summed up exactly what I would like to see from the trailer in terms of, um, again, setting the tone, revealing just enough of the story to generate interest without, giving anything major away. Allaying fears that it will just be a tired retread of people going to an island and, being chased by dinosaurs. And like I said, I think I said this on Twitter. If I didn't know from behind the scenes stuff that there was more to it than that, this trailer would have made me furious that it was just them going to an island again and being chased by dinosaurs. But thankfully, because I did know, then I can calibrate my expectations.
Exactly, and that's sort of like why I said like the new trailer. I don't want to necessarily know what this conspiracy is, and I don't want to know who the bad guys are because I'm assuming it's going to be a surprise in the movie. So don't tell us, but make sure like they put out that synopsis saying there's a conspiracy on the island and not everybody's a good guy. So make sure the new trailer goddamn shows us this, so we know there's
Yes.
more to the movie. It's more to the movie than just going to an island and being like,
Oh look, dinosaurs.
exactly. Like, oh, dinosaurs. Oh god, the volcano's blowing up, and that literally, the trailer makes it look like that is what it
Yeah.
is. So, yeah, no, I mean, they just need to do a better job of saying we know there's more. And honestly, I think Colin Trevorrow is a really creative dude who can write some really good ideas and think of some really good ideas. J.A. Bayona is a phenomenal director. Um, I think they're both very talented individuals who can really bring something great to the table with one another. So show us what they have cooking without telling us what they have cooking. Um, don't put any more goddamn spoilers in the movie. No more scenes like the Carnotaurus.
Yeah.
Less is more, but also show us some more. Like show us a Stygimoloch.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see. I want to see a Stygimoloch. It's probably my favorite new design from what I can tell.
Um, I find it so weird that they're going with Stygimoloch, even though is Jack Horner still working with them?
Yeah, he's working with them about as much as he worked with them on Jurassic World.
Yeah. Well, I do kind of find it's like it's weird. It's funny because he's pretty much like the godfather of the ontogenetic morphing hypothesis.
Yes.
These are all just Pachycephalosaurus at different stages.
I both agree with a lot of his theories and disagree with a lot of them. I think that he's on the right track. I think that maybe sometimes he's a little too he paints it with too broad of a brush, but
Oh no,
he's definitely on the right track also.
I agree. I think he takes it too far, like with the Torosaurus and the Triceratops.
That one
But
doesn't make sense to me.
yeah,
Seeing and working with two, I've worked with both those skulls in the past, and it just doesn't like my gotten, even I know paleontologists who can then state with like actual real empirical data, being like, hey, this doesn't quite line up, but like even work with the two, I'm like, yeah, this doesn't look right to my eyes.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. But I do think it's probably more likely for the Pachycephalosaurus. I just think it's kind of funny that like they've taken what's sort of like his thing, his big thing,
And then,
and they're ignoring it completely. I
I
just think that's kind of
know.
funny.
It's kind of like and I honestly, they probably don't know. I
Yeah, yeah, of course.
in it, I wonder how they came up with the dinosaurs for Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom. To be
Um,
honest,
I'm sure it's a combination of just finding what was cool. And sometimes what's cool about a dinosaur is how it looks. And sometimes, honestly, what's cool about a dinosaur is its name. And
fair.
Stygimoloch means horned devil.
That is
So,
true. That is
yeah,
true. Yeah, no, and it actually does look cool.
it
I mean,
does. Yeah,
and whether or not it's its own dinosaur or just a juvenile pachycephalosaur, we can
yeah,
definitely resoundingly say in the Jurassic universe it's its own dinosaur. Or that they mislabeled a cousin species as a Stygimoloch, even if the Stygimoloch is actually a juvenile pachycephalosaur.
yeah.
I am sure there were cousin species that look like a Stygimoloch, like pretty close to a Stygimoloch. So
Well, at the end of the day, taxonomy is just a name game. It's not a big thing for me. I don't care what they label stuff, honestly.
I
If
mean,
they,
unless it's complete, like the whole Pachyrhinoceratops
oh,
thing.
right, that. Well, that's just that doesn't look like anything.
Yeah, and it sure as hell doesn't look like a Pachyrhinosaur. Like
Right. The
it's
dinosaur famous for not having horns, given a horn.
and
Um,
doesn't have the same skull or frill structure either.
yep, yep, and has
It.
those weird holes in it, which
I mean, I
I
can let. I think that's silly, but I can let that slide. It just the fact that the frill was completely different. The everything. It's literally a fantastical Sinoceratops, and that's sort of the end of the story. But they called it a Pachyrhino.
yeah. I do have a theory about where those holes came from, and I'm sure I'm not the only one who came to this conclusion. It even sounds like you might even know where I'm going with this.
Oh yeah.
So of course, the 2013 Walking with Dinosaurs movie featured which dinosaur as its main dinosaur?
Pachyrhinosaurus.
Pachyrhinosaurus, right? And our protagonist Pachyrhinosaurus was given an interesting pathology so that we could recognize him more easily, which is that he was bitten by a Troodon as a young one, and the Troodon's tooth poked a hole in the skin of the frill where the holes are. So there's a little hole in the frill. So it looks like somebody might have seen that and either thought it looked really cool and to hell with uh, reality and just did it, or they didn't understand that that was a pathology. That's not how the animal actually looks when it's not being bitten by something.
Yeah, I honestly, I would be very shocked if it had nothing to do with Pachyrhinosaurus. I mean, from the movie, like I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure like they saw that and went with it one way
yeah,
or another.
yeah.
My God, I don't know. Thank
Right, but see, here's the thing, though. This kind of goes back to what I would want and hope from Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, but that no trailer can probably save, which is that I just don't like what they're doing with the dinosaurs.
there again. I'm there with
Yeah.
you. I definitely that's a whole different critique, and that's also a fine-tuned critique. Um, it's a lot harder to explain it. It's hard to be like, it's hard to say I don't like these dinosaur designs and there's a certain overall resounding reason why. It's sort of hard to put those reasons into words.
I think ultimately, here's what I feel anyway. Again, maybe this is just, bullshit intuition and I'm totally wrong, and I'm okay with being totally wrong. But what it feels like, at least from what I've heard, what I've seen, what I've been shown, is that the higher ups just don't care. They're
Yeah.
just not interested in dinosaurs.
And I think the lack of a sort of like a resounding art director godfathering the designs a little bit, like a Stan Winston or a Crash McCreary, also hinders things because we don't have a solid art direction.
Right, which is why we have things like this Digimolech, which look fine.
It
We have,
looks like a Jurassic Park dinosaur. It
yeah,
really
we have
does from what we can tell.
the Carnotaurus, looks fine.
Yeah,
But then we have the Pachyrhinosaurus,
which
Um,
or the Allosaurus, which just
or
looks goofy.
yeah, goofy and generic and
Like I don't
yeah.
know. It's just not an interesting design to me. I like the colors. I like some of the ideas, but just the art of it. I don't like the artwork. Really, is what it comes down to. It just doesn't look good in my opinion. It looks really weird and goofy and not. It doesn't look cool and it doesn't look majestic and it doesn't look scary. So I don't know what the hell they're going for.
Yeah, that's sort of the argument I got into with some people when I was criticizing some of the designs. People were saying, it doesn't have to be scientifically accurate. I'm like, okay, I can understand that, but it does at least have to be, cool. It has to be interesting. You know,
Yeah,
that's sort of, and I
well,
brought this
it
up.
should seem like an animal. Whether or not it's entirely scientifically accurate, it should still seem and feel like a real living animal that sort of lives in our world. It shouldn't be anthropomorphized. It shouldn't be too. It needs to be. It needs to it should stick to the real world roles of the animal kingdom, which Jurassic Park did an amazing job with.
Yeah,
Um,
but here's the thing: is that Jurassic Park was also creative, artistic license, as
yes,
in art, as in creativity. When I look at that Allosaurus, it just looks generic.
exactly.
There are so many other iconic Allosauruses out there, and that one just looks so generic for a franchise that's well known for its iconic dinosaur design. But
Exactly.
and this is what I bring up. The Jurassic Park Dilophosaurus. You know what? Of course, the paleo geek in me does not care for the frill, but I would never, ever criticize it for being uncreative. I
Yeah,
would
I
never.
don't mind it at all. If another movie did it, I'd be like, "Yo, listen, guys, Jurassic Park made that up. That's their thing. That's not the real animal. So don't do it because it's dumb because you're doing it that way." But like, otherwise, man, like, I love the Jurassic Park Dilophosaurus. I don't know. It's little things like that. I love the Jurassic Park Raptors. It doesn't bother me that they're featherless or big. Um, it it bothers me that every dinosaur is featherless, but not the ones that are already established. I don't know.
I mean, that's a whole other thing.
It,
Um,
but
I've
yeah,
kind.
but I'm not even talking about feathers. Like, I'm not saying I don't like the Allosaurus because it's not feathered or anything like that. I'm just saying, yo, the art for it isn't doing it for me. It doesn't have that Crash McCreary, Stan Winston Studios, IOM classic
Yeah,
magic that they have
yeah,
going on. It just feels like it could be any talented artist's random portfolio generic dinosaur. And when I say talented, because there is, I mean, obviously it's scaled, it's a lot of details in it. I mean, it's talented art, but it's not necessarily iconic art.
right. And
But I guess that is very subjective. I do
yeah,
realize it's very subjective, but I don't think necessarily what's subjective is talking about maybe the more anthropomorphized features, the sort of weird expressive faces that they have going on, and it just you can objectively say it's a departure from Crash McCreary's art style, as you can say that about the Pteranodons and Dimorphodons as well. So I think that at the very least there, I can back it up with saying, listen, it doesn't really hold true to the certain art style foundations that I think that Jurassic Park was anchored in.
right. And I can already hear some people saying, well, it's a movie, so they have to, change things so that the dinosaurs are more
Well,
expressive, so they can communicate more emotion. And here's
no,
what I
you
would say to
don't.
no. Well, here's what I would say to that. Here's what I would say to that. The puppets of the raptors in the kitchen in the first movie are very expressive, but not
Not
in that
anthropomorphized.
right. There's just something about the way they are. Honestly, the word for it is their performance, the acting on the part of the puppeteers, that conveys the menace and the determination to kill, without angry eyebrows and
Mm-hmm. Like the angry eyebrow crest that the Pteranodons have.
yeah.
Um, or, I don't want this to devolve into like a Jurassic World bashing fest. Um, but it's frustrating. It's actually not so much that I feel like I need to criticize Jurassic World as much as I think I'm so put off now recently just by everyone being like so aggressive about it, like on an individual basis. Like I don't when people are like, "Man, I love the Jurassic World dinosaurs," I don't feel a need to be like, well, you're just wrong, and wow, like I'm like, oh, cool. Like I won't say anything unless it's like a friend of mine, and I'll be like weirdo, I'll give them like one of those friendly weird things. Like I'm not actually trying to get in a debate with them.
Yeah, like whenever you bring up Jurassic Park 3 with the C's.
Yeah, exactly. I actually don't care. I really But it's what you do with friends. I don't know.
Yeah.
I fully expect, I expect digs about feathers coming my way from people, but it's the people that take it very seriously that have put me off, and I always feel like I just need to like explain it. And the problem is I'm always so like riled up. Like I just can't, I would love to actually think about it and like have a discussion sometime, like maybe a very objective and fundamental like dissection.
Well,
Like
that's the kind of the problem that I've faced, and maybe you face this as well, is that you see these things that you're critical of, and again, you're not saying it's a bad movie. I've seen 3 minutes of it. I don't know if it's going to be a bad movie, but there are things about it that I'm critical of, and I will voice these criticisms. And you get this backlash from people who are not critical. They're not necessarily defending why they think it's good. They're just criticizing you
they're
for
criticizing
being negative.
they're or not even negative. A criticism isn't, um, in my opinion, a criticism isn't negative inherently. Um,
But no,
and
they're saying, "Oh, you're negative," or "You're a
I
hater," you know, using the word hater unironically.
like honestly, dude, like it can get frustrating, and I think it's not just Jurassic Park though. I think it is sort of like film social media culture slowly making this weird shift right now.
Oh, I
Um,
believe the shift happened long ago
I guess it
in
did, but
other
maybe
in
it's
other
catching up with
franchises.
maybe it's catching up with Jurassic Park.
Yeah,
I think
now
other
now that Jurassic Park is back, after being dead for 14 years essentially, yeah, now it's been brought back to life in this new world of people who cannot allow other opinions to be expressed.
and let me tell you something that I've realized with myself, and I don't want to try to get like political or anything like that, but not here on the podcast. I mean, I'm more than fine voicing
Oh,
my own. I'm more than
go
fine
go
voicing my own opinion
go
elsewhere.
go for it. Say whatever you need to
But
say.
like, I think our entire like the entire social, everything with politics, right? Not politics. I mean, just the state of world being, and I think, I guess what escapism through art has never been more needed. We need to face the music in real life, and we need to do something about a lot of these things. But having those moments of escapism through movies and music can be really cathartic. And
Not only cathartic, necessary. I think
absolutely necessary,
if you don't, you will burn yourself out.
exactly.
Reality will eat you alive,
And
especially with what's going on in the world right now.
and when I'm passionate about something, like Jurassic Park, it's a very special movie to me, and it's very special to me for probably the same reason it's special to 95% of everyone else. It's very hard for me to sort of turn a blind eye to where the new movies are sort of like dropping the ball. So like Jurassic Park is such a core piece of escapism, and it's always been. And I think lately I need it more. So I think lately I've become even a little bit more vocal about it on a subconscious level, because I think it's all that more important for me to. I think that's sort of like a weird, like just a little that little escape into like that escape into Narnia for a few
Mm.
for a few hours, a little that magical portal. And I can get that from a lot of things, but Jurassic Park's one that's near and dear to me, and I feel like it's something that I can be a lot more expressive about. Um, I love Star Wars movies, man. Like they're so transformative and magical to me, but it's more on an emotional level that I can't necessarily resoundly say why, like I can with Jurassic Park. But because I can with Jurassic Park, it's so important for me to say it. Like I totally respect that not everybody agrees with that. Um, but I just wish that people would not get so put off by having someone having a dissenting opinion. Um, and also though I think that's also maybe why people have been so negative also for other reasons. Like I think it's just the climate right now. Everyone's on edge whether or not they realize it or not, even if they think, oh, it doesn't apply to me, these politics, oh, it's not the best
Yeah.
situation, but it'll be all right. I think people are still on edge. I think people are still on edge, and they've been on edge for a while, even before we've had
Even before you know what.
yeah, even before we had that goddamn slug in the president's chair.
Yeah.
I think that things have been, there's been a lot of, I think, cultural shifts. We've really realized that we have a lot to go. Not just in the United States. I think all over the world. We have a lot of growing up as the human race, and I think that we need to really learn how to respect one another. But I think as we are realizing that, hey, we're not perfect, and we're really not perfect, and we've been kind of living like, I think that sort of new age millennia of like, wow, we've really come so far as a human race, and we're really like, we've stepped past all these boundaries. Wow, we're doing so good. Now we're like, oh wow, we still have a lot more to go. And a lot of people are sort of not accepting that, and I think it's putting a lot of tension, because it's just like, why can't you people be nicer? Why can't you just love one another? And I think it's putting everyone on edge, and very real things are happening, and there's a lot of reform needed. So
Yeah.
I think everyone's on edge, and everyone needs escapism more than ever, and I think it's just making a more toxic culture. But I'm just hoping that toxic culture is coming sort of, I don't know, maybe it's a sort of I don't know, the tide changing, and it's just sort of everyone swimming upstream, and they're a little tired, but maybe something good will come out of it for a while.
I don't know.
Or maybe people are just assholes.
I mean that's partially true, but I think part of it just has to do with the fact that, I mean, the internet has given us this thing that human beings have never had before, which is the ability to say whatever you want anonymously about anything.
Sort of anonymously. I mean, I'm using my real name. Maybe I should have done that differently, but I'm using my real name.
But you know that a lot of these assholes are anonymous. You know, you can say whatever you want with no accountability. And when you give people that freedom, it turns out that, a lot of them will really abuse it. So I think it's going to take, I don't think it's going to happen soon, unfortunately. But I think what needs to happen is people are already starting to talk about it, but just basically like teaching kids how to use the internet. And not use the internet like, how do you type in a URL? No, I mean how to,
how to grow up, and mature, and hell, I mean, we could all use a little bit of help with that. Like how to it's such a different social feature in our evolution that we've just been thrust into suddenly, and it opened like that level of constant communication. I mean, our psyche, just evolutionary, has been built for it, and we will eventually adapt.
But it just goes back to that whole idea. And this isn't just true with the internet, this is true of a lot of things, but it goes back to that idea that, science fiction writers and philosophers have been talking about for a long time, which is that our technology advances faster than ourselves. So, our technology has, come so far, but we have not come as far as we might like from, the cave as people. Yeah. So, we are still basically, animals who've been given, in some ways, godlike power.
Please tell me again.
Stupid phone. Yeah. Speaking of godlike power, so
we just, there's a lot in this world that needs to. It's so funny this came from a Jurassic Park podcast.
Don't ever tell me that Jurassic Park is not deep.
But no. I mean, like, out of all honesty, I think that's sort of my reflection of why things have maybe grown a little bit more tense, a little bit more weird, and I think that might be why I've been a little bit more vocal and a little bit more like, just like, I don't know. I think that's maybe why everyone's like a little bit more extreme. Except for the thing is, people tend to take me more seriously than I am. That is the one thing I've learned. People always think I'm so serious, and
part of that. I mean,
part of that. They don't know me well. Hang out with me in person long enough, and you'll realize I'm not that serious.
Yeah, that's definitely the side effect of Twitter and the non-verbal communication.
Yeah, and I think if you followed me for long enough, you probably realize like you have a better insight into my personality than just like, if you sort of follow me after Jurassic World came out and stuff like that. Like, okay, there's, or even like in the last year or so, but like I feel like because people take me too seriously.
Well, thankfully, I actually got this weird phrasing, but I got into you through the In General podcast. Way back. Oh God, I think I can even remember like one of your first episodes where you guys were just talking, like reviewing Jurassic Park.
We need to learn how to structure that podcast for as like quota like official of like a website that we have. Like our podcast is just pure chaos.
But that's one, it's enjoyable chaos, and two, isn't that what we should expect from a Jurassic Park podcast? Chaos.
That is what Malcolm has told us. That is absolutely. In fact, that goes. Jurassic Park podcast is sort of they're breaking all the rules then by having such a well organized format.
Yeah, but no,
I don't know how they do it.
Yeah, no, I definitely am more fond of the sort of the off the cuff, no script, no format, just shooting the breeze with folks who have interesting opinions on things. I've often said podcasting gives me an excuse to talk at length with people I like about subjects that interest me.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that it can formulate some really interesting discussion. And sometimes you just have no idea. Like, sometimes I know I personally, like, say something, and after I say it, I'm like, I just vocalized that so poorly. Like, because I didn't know how to say it, and, like, so, like, I think that's interesting is, like, sometimes a podcast, I'll be like, okay, so last podcast I said this, and it sounds stupid as shit. Let me fix that this time. And I've caught myself doing that, but it's an interesting way to self-reflect. Although I try not to listen to my own podcasts, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no, I definitely feel the same way. But, there is one thing I just want to briefly bring up about something that I want to see more of in the Super Bowl trailer. There's one that's like a specific thing that I can say I want to see more of this. One word: animatronics.
Yes. I don't mind CG when it's good CG, and I felt like the new trailer had mostly good CG. So that's not really a complaint. I'm really nostalgic about animatronics, and I want to see what they have cooking.
Well, again, it goes back to the whole idea of we were promised X and we were shown Y. In the behind the scenes footage, we saw all these animatronics. They have animatronic T-Rex, animatronic Blue, animatronic Stygimoloch, Stegosaurus, they have Triceratops, right?
I don't think so. I think it's just a foam stand-in for the trike.
Oh, okay. But they have the Carnotaurus animatronic. I think I think I saw a Carnotaurus animatronic.
I know there's a maquette.
Okay. But yeah, so you're showing us all these animatronics in the behind the scenes stuff. I want to see that. However, I am also somewhat afraid that this might be a little bit like what happened with the Apatosaurus in Jurassic World, where that was the only animatronic and it was a very limited role. So like all the animatronics that I've seen have been lying down.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I think that's the case for all the animatronics in the movie.
Yeah.
When they said they wrote rules for animatronics, I think that they they took the idea of finding a role that an animatronic could fill a little too literally. That's too bad. Maybe they'll take that T-Rex head and put it up in the air, at least for like a T-Rex roaring close up, and use some tracking dots to give a CG body with a real head. That could be interesting.
I have long dreamed of what that would look like.
It could be really good if they actually did the research and development and plan for it, but it could also be really bad if like they kind of threw it at IOM without actually working with them on how to make it work well.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, you see some. This has been done before, where they've like tried to merge CG with actual physical components, like merging CG with actors. Like you have an actor in makeup and then give them a CG body.
Yeah,
that's like a creature body. And I think it can work, but doing it with an animatronic would be a whole other challenge. But then again, this is Jurassic Park, and they've met every challenge with animatronics that they've ever faced. I mean, every time that Steven Spielberg went to Stan Winston with the script, is like, okay, we need the T-Rex to be stalking people and killing people in the middle of a torrential downpour. He's like, you want a life-size T-Rex robot that's like crushing cars in the middle of a torrential downpour. You're gonna get somebody killed. But no, they did it.
Yeah, they did it.
Yeah, and then cut to the next movie. Okay, now we need the T-Rex to go into a waterfall. We need to actually stick the skull into pouring water down over it. And then finally we get to the third movie. Where it's like, okay, now we need the robot dinosaur to actually be in a lake during a torrential downpour, and then we're going to set the lake on fire. And we need it to act. We need this robot to act in all of that. And they did it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I hope that maybe Fallen Kingdom pushes some of the animatronics into new bounds, but everything I understand about it, I think we're going to mostly see lying down dinosaurs, unfortunately.
It is unfortunate, because, There was one shot in the trailer. It's the shot of where Owen encounters Blue, and there's that close up of his hand and her snout. And I'm just looking at it going, why was an animatronic not used for that? That's a perfect. You want to talk a role for an animatronic? That's it.
Yeah, and honestly, they could have just used a head insert. Like, they didn't need a full body. But I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't ask me. I'm sure in equal ways it's very possible that the decision was out of Colin Trevorrow and J.A.B.'s hand, and I wouldn't be surprised if in some ways they are frustrated about it as well. You know the animatronic designers are probably thinking like, God, we could do so much more. Let us do so much more.
Yeah.
And even though the people at ILM are probably like, man, I'd like to see what those guys could do if they were given more to do with it. But it ultimately comes down to some of the budgetary people, all the producers and studio people might be like, oh, is this too risky? Is it?
I mean, maybe. I mean, when it comes to CG and animatronics, studios have done some really stupid things in the past. Do you hear about what happened with the 2011 prequel to The Thing?
Don't even remind me.
Yeah.
Oh, that's such a travesty.
Yeah.
Those animatronics look so good.
Yeah. And did you hear about what they did after that? They crowdfunded a movie to showcase what they had made for The Thing, to use it in another movie to show like, here's what we can do with this.
Yeah.
It's
too bad that stuff like that happens.
Yeah.
But anyhow, do you think that is basically what we can say in this thing?
Yeah. I don't know. I think there are about 2 million other points to go. No. I think this pretty much sums up what we can hope for the next trailer, but what we'll ultimately get, who knows?
I want to maybe close off on a really quick opinion, if the case is the first time somebody's heard me talk about Jurassic World, Jurassic Park, or anything like that. Jurassic Park, definitely my favorite movie. I love Jurassic World. There's so much I love about it. Overall, I find it an enjoyable movie. I love the design of the Indominus Rex, and I love the design of the Mosasaurus. As for Fallen Kingdom, I'm really looking forward to that movie, and there's a lot of promise on display in the trailer, even if it was put together in a way that sort of gave me a negative reaction initially. And I can't wait to see more, and I'm very excited to see this movie.
Oh, wait, I hate to do this to you, but there was actually one other point I wanted to cover.
Okay.
Another thing that a lot of casual moviegoers have been saying, and I was talking about this with my friend the other day, who is, again, casual viewer, not a big fan of the franchise. He has seen all the movies because he's my friend and I made him. But one thing he pointed out was this really, and a lot of people have said this, and I think you guys even said this on your last podcast, was in a lot of ways this does feel like Lost World Part 2.
So much so that Colin Trevorrow actually took to an interview to say, hey, it's not Lost World Part 2.
Right.
And but he's like, I can see why you would think that when you saw the trailer.
Well, my friend and I were looking at the title, and we were like, okay, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. Wait a minute, that means the same thing as Lost World. It basically means the same thing in different words. So is there anything? Because again, Trevorrow said that in an interview, but again, there's has been this disconnect between what is said and what is shown. So is there anything you can give my two listeners to kind of help them to overcome that fear that this will not be a redux of the Lost World? This will be something different and new and interesting and hopefully good.
Well, I mean, on a very, very shallow note, it's not Steven Spielberg directing it, so literally it's the Lost World. There's also no characters that do gymnastics, as far as I know, so we're not going to have any dinosaurs being kicked by raptors. But
that we know of.
That we know of. But no, I mean, we know Colin Trevorrow and J.A.B. have said about halfway through the movie, we're going to leave the island, and we're going to go to a brand new mainland isolated location.
Oh, you mean like San Diego?
Not like San Diego. I think like a mansion in the middle of a forest type of isolated
or
location.
something like that.
Something along those lines. I mean, the behind the scenes trailer gives it away. So
yeah.
I mean, extrapolation. I really don't know exactly how we get there, why we go there, or what happens there, and I want to keep it that way. We know we go there. That's not a big deal. We know there's gonna be a mysterious dinosaur there. That's not a big deal. Just don't tell us what they do, how we get there, or what goes down there. Keep that part secret. It's not the where, it's the how and the why and the what.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah,
but
because I know you really like Lost World. You think it's a really good movie. I enjoy it because I can never not enjoy dinosaurs running around and eating people. But I don't think it's a very good movie. I think it's got a lot of problems. In it's kind of the inverse of what happens a lot of time. A lot of movies are good ideas with bad execution. I think Lost World is bad ideas with fairly good execution. Um, but nonetheless, a lot of people do consider it to be a very inferior sequel to Jurassic Park. And, there's even this. I've often said the world can be divided into two groups of people: people who think Lost World is the worst Jurassic Park movie, and people who think Jurassic Park 3 is the worst Jurassic Park movie. And, there is, it does have a lot of hate behind it. So that's also another reason why I want to kind of talk about why this isn't just going to be Lost World again. Because for some people that would be fine. They wouldn't mind another Lost World, but a lot of people would not like that. Because here's the thing: if Jurassic World is just a lesser version of Jurassic Park, then Fallen Kingdom being a lesser version of Lost World, that would not be a good movie.
yeah, no, I think it's definitely gonna break into new territory, and I think tonally it's just gonna be very different. Because again, it's also it's about saving the dinosaurs. The bad guys were capturing the dinosaurs in the Lost World, and it wasn't really about that. They went there to save Sarah Hardy, and then they got blindsided by this, and then they got blindsided by that, and then it was a survival story. And I think this movie is going to be a mixture of a survival story and a saving the dinosaur story at the same time, and then dealing with the consequences. I think the idea of dealing with the consequences, not dealing with the consequences of necessarily somebody else's action. I think the consequences of Fallen Kingdom are going to be very tied to our characters, even if other people did some less than savory things that they did not expect. I think it's going to be still quite tied to the characters, and it's also going to be quite tied to the events of Jurassic World. And I think that might maybe make it feel a little bit more at home, as it definitely feels like a logical sequel progression.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that I do definitely gives me confidence is the fact that Trevorrow outright stated everything in the trailer is from like the 59-minute mark or something.
First 57 minutes is what
First
he said.
57 minutes, right. So it's not like Lost World where it really does feel like the movie has ended and then we go to San Diego. No, this feels it's going to be more built into what
Yeah,
actually happens with this story.
exactly. It's going to take us place to place. I guess my only real comment there, then, real quick, is the action on Nublar better be damn good, because if they're destroying it and that first half of the movie is just average,
Oh
fans are
yeah.
not fans are not going to like the movie if it's just average and they destroy Nublar. And let me just be outright there, because if they destroyed Jurassic World and they destroyed Jurassic Park, and it's just okay, you just made a you
Yeah, that's
yeah.
just very true.
I hope
This
that
is
they
very true.
kept in mind that sort of emotional importance of those places. I'm not saying that they're untouchable. I just
Right, right.
better do a
No,
good job with it. Better do a
yeah,
good
oh
job.
yeah, no, absolutely. I would, it goes back to the whole idea of, how dare you make me feel something? If you make me feel the pain of watching this place that has like has probably like 65% of my childhood in it, and I grew up with and I love, despite all my criticisms. If you just blow that up and I'm just sitting there in the theater like, meh, then you have failed
Yeah,
spectacularly. I want to feel the pain. I want to feel the loss of this island blowing up and of these
ex-
animals dying.
exactly. And I want it to be well done. I don't want to just feel it. I mean, I want it to be well done, man.
Oh well, I'm saying that I won't feel it if it's not well done.
Yeah, exactly. That's
Yeah,
true. That's
yeah.
fair. That's
Hmm.
fair. Um, but yeah, I'm very excited. I'm optimistic, even if we sort of we started touching on categories that we talked about, and we kind of had it devolve into that certain sort of frustrated discussion. But
Yes, but no. There's I forget if I shared this quote with you, but there's a quote from The Simpsons about what it means to be a fan of something, and that's when the new Cosmic Wars movie comes out, and it's very obviously Phantom Menace. And you have comic book guy walk out of the theater, go, worst Cosmic Wars ever. I will only see it 3 more times today. That's what it means to be a fan. You know, the first thing that I said when I saw the teaser for the trailer for Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom, the first thing I said was, "Well, I am ready to be hurt again."
But yeah, I'm optimistic that maybe we'll leave it leaving feeling positive.
I certainly hope so.
I think that it's going to surprise us. I think that there's going to be other elements on display in the movie that are more than just, oh, we end up at a surprising place, or oh, this dinosaur was secret. Like, no, I think that there's going to, I get the feeling Colin Trevorrow is a self-aware guy, and he's self-aware with what people are thinking. I think he's got something cooking there. I mean, I hope that the execution is there, but even if it's not there, I think at worst we're going to be left thinking it could have been better, but it's still good.
Which is kind of how we feel about Jurassic World.
Yeah, exactly. In my opinion, at least.
Yeah.
But I think that I might be a little bit more critical because they've had a lot of time to reflect on the criticism, and they've made a lot of comments like, oh, we're taking that criticism into mind. Instead of just going, oh, well, this movie isn't for you and these movies won't be for you anymore, they've kind of been like, yeah, we're listening. Yeah, we get you. Yeah, it's going to be different. So it better be sort of different, I guess.
Yeah, that's a reasonable expectation. I mean, I can totally sympathize with Assis when he said in the podcast, "Is it too much to want these movies to be good? Is that really so much of an expectation?"
Oh, I'm there with you, and I'm there with Assis. That was literally that just sort of sums it up. Like, people were mad. They're like, "Oh, you're being unfair. Jurassic World isn't the same as Jurassic Park. You shouldn't expect it to be as good." Like, what? No, I shouldn't expect it to be like a classic, like, immediately or anything like that. But no, it's nothing wrong to be like, hey, I want a good movie. That's all I really want. I want a good movie. And sometimes good movies aren't at all what I expected them to be or thought I wanted them to be, but they're still good.
Yeah,
that's all I care about.
Not my case in point for that would be Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle.
Yeah.
It's not the movie I would have wanted. But it was also, I can't say I didn't enjoy it. I can't say that there weren't things in it that I really liked and thought were really good.
Yeah. So, I don't know. That's sort of, I've said my piece.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So now here's the official end, the actual end. So this was like our T-Rex rampage, this last tangent here. So do you have any final thoughts or plugs or anything you want to get out of the way before we finish up the recording?
No. I think I'm good.
Nope.
I probably said too much. I probably already put people off. So.
You. Well, just a reminder, everybody, it's JurassicOutpost.com or .org.
.com.
.com. Okay.
We might also own .org. I don't know. We might redirect.
Well, but I think you were originally JurassicWorld.org.
We were Jurassic Park IV 4.
Yeah,
you were JurassicWorld.org, and now we're Jurassic Outpost. It was time to carve our own identity.
Yep. So, Jurassic Outpost for, again, not just Fallen Kingdom stuff, but anything going on in the franchise, which is big this year because this is the 25th anniversary of Jurassic Park. And I will always know what year anniversary it is for Jurassic Park because I was born the same year.
Well, there you go.
So there's a lot of fun stuff planned for the 25th anniversary. There's always something interesting new with the franchise. This movie is just sort of the main meat.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Anyways, it was definitely good talking.
Yep, good talking with you. Thanks again for coming on. And I guess we'll meet up at some point.